I've worked at this train station for over a decade. It's not flashy, it's not big, but it gets under your skin in a way that's hard to explain. Some jobs shape you, I guess. They don't just fill your days, they become part of your rhythm. You stop thinking about the hours and just move with them. Every morning starts the same. I unlock the booth just before sunrise, while the rest of the station is still asleep. The fluorescent lights overhead always hum a little too loud at that hour, flickering a bit before they settle. My boots echo across the tile floor as I walk the corridor, sharp, steady sounds bouncing off the walls before anything else stirs. That part's my favorite, honestly. The quiet before it all begins. There's a peace in it. The coffee's always bitter. We've got a break room down near the lockers, and the machine in there has never once produced anything you'd call drinkable. But it's hot, and that's enough. I sip it slowly while the first few maintenance carts roll by in the distance, their wheels squeaking in a way I've stopped hearing most days. Somewhere further down, a janitor mops the floor, and the swish of water against old tile drifts down the hallway. The whole place feels like it's holding its breath, just for a moment, before the doors open and the crowds pour in. Once the sun's up, everything changes. The station wakes up fast, and there's not much room for stillness after that. Most of my days spent behind the glass at the booth, selling tickets to people who barely glance in my direction. They shove crumpled bills or cards under the slot, mumble round trip or one way, and walk off before I've even handed back their change. Some of them never take their earbuds out. Some don't even look up from their phones. But I don't take it personally. They've got places to be, people to meet, deadlines to hit. Everyone's going somewhere. Me? I just stay. And it's the staying that changes you. You learn to watch because there's nothing else to do between rushes. I don't mean spying on people. I'm not a creep. It's more like noticing. The little things. The woman in the trench coat who winces every time her phone vibrates, like it's more threat than tool. The older man in the gray blazer who clutches his briefcase so tight you'd think someone was trying to take it from him. The mother who boards on platform 4 every Tuesday with her little boy. The one who never takes his eyes off the clown standing in the concourse. People carry stories, even if they never speak a word. You can see it in the way they walk, in the way they wait, in the way their hands twitch when the announcement system crackles overhead. And if you spend enough time in one place, if you stop rushing like everyone else, you start to feel it too. The tension under the surface. The quiet that's not really quiet. The station, it hums. It has its own pulse, a kind of presence. I didn't notice it at first. Not in the early days when I was just happy to be earning a paycheck. But over time, that feeling crept in. A sense that the walls are listening. That the air shifts when no one's around. That sometimes, if you sit real still, you can hear something breathing right beneath the floor. And sometimes, it bleeds. Not literally. Not with blood. But with moments, strange ones, that don't make sense no matter how long you stare at them. People vanishing. Doors opening to places they shouldn't. Memories that twist around themselves like smoke and leave you wondering what you really saw. It doesn't happen all the time. It's not constant. But when it does, you learn to stop asking why. You learn the rules instead. And the first of them is about a man who never plays his guitar. You'll find him sitting near the benches by the lost and found. Always the same spot, just a few feet from the old radiator that rattles every time the heat kicks on. His back stays hunched, arms resting loosely on his knees, and that guitar case is always right in front of him, open but never touched. I've worked here over 10 years, and I've never heard him play a single note. People ask about him sometimes, usually the newer staff or visitors who pass through more than once. What's his story? They'll ask, peering over toward him like they expect to hear some old blues tune drift through the hall. But there's nothing. No music, no singing, no voice. Just silence in that case. At first, I thought he was just down on his luck, one of those quiet types who spends his days hoping someone tosses in a few bucks, but the case never stays the same. It's not coins or dollar bills you'll find inside. Some days it's a pair of antique opera glasses, tarnished and delicate, with flecks of green on the hinges. Other times it's a neat bundle of letters tied with string, yellowed like they'd been sitting in a drawer for 50 years. Once, I saw a brooch shaped like a scarab beetle nestled inside a silk handkerchief. The next day, it was gone, and in its place was a small tin whistle that played the most haunting tune I've ever heard. I didn't hear it with my ears exactly. It was more like a memory trying to crawl back into my head. I couldn't sleep for days after that. And then there was the coin. A teenage kid found it one afternoon while waiting for his train to board, picked it up, turned it over in his hand, and asked me at the booth if I knew where Delmare was. I told him I'd never heard of it. Neither had anyone else. We looked it up. No records, no country by that name, not past or present, not even a made-up micronation or an obscure island. It wasn't fake, though. It had weight, age, even inscriptions none of us could read. He kept it. I warned him not to, but he just shrugged, said it was probably some weird token or collectible. When I asked what he left in return, he laughed and said, "Nothing." What, am I supposed to tip him for the mystery? He was gone by the next week. Not dead, not missing, just off. I saw him one more time in the station about a month later. He walked right past the booth without a word, blank stare, no spark behind the eyes, like something had been scooped out of him and there wasn't much left holding the rest together. That's when I learned the rule, the real rule. If you take something from the case, you have to leave something behind, and not just anything. It has to mean something. It has to matter, a memory, a keepsake, something personal, something that feels like it hurts a little to part with. Because if you don't, he won't stop you. The musician never says a word. He won't grab you or chase you down, but he'll look at you, slowly, carefully, with those deep, glassy eyes that don't blink, and eventually he takes something back. We had a guy on night shift once. Dave worked maintenance. Found a roll of $100 bills in the case one morning when the early crowd was still thin. No one around to see him except me, watching from the booth. He picked it up like he'd struck gold and laughed out loud, dropped a bottle cap in the case like it was a joke, and walked off to his shift, still chuckling under his breath. 2 days later, we found him curled up in the break room, breathing hard, clutching his chest like something inside him was breaking apart. He kept whispering about his daughter, about how he couldn't remember her name anymore, not her face, not her birthday, just this awful, aching feeling that she mattered once. He took something. He left trash, and the musician took something back. Now none of the regulars go near that case. Not without a purpose. If something catches your eye, you leave something real before you touch it. Even if you're not sure what it is yet. Doesn't matter. The rule holds. And when you've worked here long enough, you stop wondering where the items come from, or where they go. You just keep your distance. You learn to respect the case, and you don't ever take without giving. Next time you walk past him, you'll feel it, that heavy silence that gathers around him like fog. You might even feel drawn to whatever's sitting in the case that day. But take my advice, if you aren't ready to lose something, walk away. You won't find it on any of the maps. Not the digital screens, not the printed guides, not even the old directories bolted into the walls. The numbers jump straight from 12 to 14, and no one ever questions it. They assume it's superstition. Like how hotels skip the 13th floor. People don't like the number. It makes them uneasy. But Platform 13 exists, not in the way the others do. You can't just stroll past the food court and take a right. You have to go deeper. Past the last row of vending machines, past the maintenance access doors with chipped yellow paint, past the broken elevator that hasn't worked in years but somehow still dings sometimes at night. Eventually, if you're not looking for it but somehow end up there anyway, you'll find a corroded sign. Just a shard of metal, half swallowed by grime, bolted to a crooked column that leans like it's tired of holding secrets. You'll reach a stairwell that shouldn't exist. And at the bottom, there it is. Platform 13. It looks like any other platform at first. Same yellow safety line, same worn benches, but it's wrong. The air is thicker down there, like it's pressing in from all sides. The walls sweat, even in winter. The lights flicker when no one moves, and the silence. It isn't empty. It's listening. Trains stop there sometimes, not according to any schedule, not from any line we know. They don't show up on the departure boards. There's no overhead announcement. They just arrive. And people get off. Not many. 1 or 2 at a time, always with that same glassy stare like they've seen too much. They don't speak, they don't look around. They just step off, slowly, like whatever brought them here is the last stop they'll ever need. The weird part? We never see them again, ever. Security has run facial recognition checks, public records searches, nothing. No matches, no social media, no driver's licenses or employment history, just gone. Like they walked out of the world and into something else. There was a porter named Ellis who tried to follow one of them. I remember the day clearly. A woman in a pale coat stepped off a train none of us recognized. She didn't speak, didn't ask for directions, just walked with this faraway calm that unsettled everyone nearby. Ellis thought she looked confused. He radioed in, then went after her, promising to make sure she got back to the concourse safely. He never made the call back. When we found him, he was standing on platform 14, blinking slowly like he'd just woken up from a nightmare. His watch was cracked, frozen at 11:07. 3 hours had passed. He couldn't explain where he'd been. Said he remembered stepping onto 13, hearing the train doors hiss close behind him, and then fog, just fog, everywhere. No woman, no tracks, nothing. He quit by the end of the week, didn't even wait for his last paycheck. After that, we stopped sending people down there. And the few who stumble onto 13 by accident, most of them come back. Some don't. But the rule is simple now. If your train pulls into 13, if by some twist of bad luck or timing you find yourself there, stay on board. Don't ask questions. Don't open the window. Don't look for signs. Just stay seated. Keep your head down. Wait for the next stop. I don't care how late you are. I don't care if it means missing your transfer or your flight or your wedding. Do not step onto that platform, because something waits down there. And whatever it is, it doesn't like visitors who don't know the way back. He stands dead center in the concourse, always in red. A full costume, bright as blood, with yellow buttons, oversized shoes, and a ruffled collar that looks like it hasn't been cleaned in years. His face is painted white, lips stretched into a permanent grin, and those black eyes, they never blink. Most people don't really notice him. That's the part that gets me. You'd think a full-grown man in a clown suit standing in the middle of a public train station would attract attention. And sure, the occasional tourist points or snaps a photo. Some folks laugh and call him a street performer or part of some promotion. But the rest, they walk right past him like he's just another signpost or vending machine. Like he's supposed to be there. But he's not. No one knows where he came from. There's no permit on file, no name. No performer's license, I checked. We all did. Security tried asking him to move once, politely at first. The guy didn't speak, didn't react, just smiled, arms open like he was waiting for someone to come closer. After that, they left him alone. The kids are the ones who notice him most. Some freeze the second they see him, just stop in their tracks, wide-eyed and shaking like something inside them recognizes him. Others, they walk right up, calm as can be, and start whispering like they're greeting an old friend. I've seen it more times than I can count. A boy with sticky fingers and a juice box pressing his hand against the clown's pant leg. A little girl with pigtails smiling up at him like she's been waiting years to see him again. I remember one in particular, maybe 6 years old. She waved at him. Small, slow, deliberate, like a secret signal, like a memory. And then he waved back. It was barely a movement. Just a twitch of the fingers, almost lazy, but it chilled me in a way I can't explain, because no one else saw it. Not her mom, not the guy next to her, not the other workers. Just me. Kids come back to their parents after standing near him and say things that make the hair on your arms stand up. He said I'm safe now. He told me where the other one went. He said I can stay this time. They say it in that calm, matter-of-fact way kids do when they don't understand how strange something is. We tried checking the security footage once. Pulled up the timestamp, watched the feed. He didn't move, just stood there, still as ever, blurry on the camera like the lens was trying to forget him. But the weird part is, when we compared the footage to the day before, he'd shifted. Not much. Just a few inches. Maybe a turn of the head, maybe an arm held out a little further. It was enough to notice, if you knew where to look. I started paying attention after that. And I swear, sometimes when I come in for the morning shift, he's facing left. Then by the time I leave, he's turned right. No one sees him move, he just does. There's a rule about the clown, same as with the others. Never interact with him after sunset. During the day, he's strange. Creepy, sure, but he stays still, passive. Just part of the background noise. At night, he watches. I mean it. Once the sun dips past the hills and the lights in the concourse shift to that dim yellow glow, something in him changes. He stands a little straighter. That grin looks wider. His hands, once open and relaxed, curl ever so slightly. And if you talk to him, if you lean in or try to take a photo or let your kid get too close, he notices. I don't know what he does after that. We don't get footage. Cameras start glitching, feeds cut out for a few minutes. Just long enough for something to happen, maybe. We've had disappearances. Quiet ones. No alarms, no Amber Alerts, no screaming parents. Just a kid who was there one moment and gone the next. A teenager who wandered too close and never made it to his platform. A custodian who took a selfie and never came back from break. No records, no bodies, nothing to chase. But those of us who work here, we remember. So here's the rule. If it's after sunset, stay away from the clown. Don't speak to him. Don't take pictures. Don't even make eye contact. And if a child starts talking to him, get them out of there. Fast. He doesn't follow. He doesn't run. But sometimes, the next morning, he's facing a little closer to your side of the hall. They say he died on the tracks. It was during a graveyard shift sometime in the early 80s, long before I started here. Back then, the cameras were grainy and unreliable, and none of them caught what happened. There was no impact noise, no signs of a struggle, no scream. Just a quiet night, an empty platform, and then he was gone. They found him the next morning lying face down near the edge of platform 6. One arm stretched forward like he'd been trying to catch a train that had already pulled away. His coat was still buttoned up tight, shoes lined neatly on his feet, ticket clenched in his hand, but his head was missing, not crushed, not severed, just gone, like it had been lifted off clean and carried away. The case went nowhere, no suspects, no motive, no explanation. And the weirdest part? The body hadn't bled much, like whatever took the head had sealed the wound from the inside. They buried him without a name. He had no ID on him. Just that ticket, worn and damp, with a smudged destination no one could read. Some say it was a mistake. Some say he was never really meant to be here. But he stayed. I didn't believe the stories at first. I thought it was just the usual rail worker folklore. Every place has its ghost tale, right? But then I started seeing him. Not clearly, never in full light, but enough. Late at night, after the last of the passengers are gone and the hallways go quiet, he walks the platforms. Always the same overcoat, always the same posture. Shoulders hunched slightly, like he's cold. He holds a ticket in his hand, shaking a little, as he moves between the benches and safety lines. He doesn't have a head. That part isn't subtle. It's not a trick of the light. There's no hat hiding anything. It's just not there. But somehow you feel like he's looking at you anyway. He never runs, never speaks. Just walks with this quiet purpose, scanning the tiles like he lost something and refuses to leave without it. He moves like he still thinks he belongs here. Like he doesn't know he's gone. And that's the problem. There's one rule with the Headless Passenger. One thing you absolutely have to do if you see him. You greet him. Doesn't have to be anything big. A wave. A quiet evening. A nod if that's all you can manage. Just enough to acknowledge him. To let him believe he's still one of us. Because if you don't, if you keep walking, if you pretend he isn't there, if you look right through him like he's nothing at all, then something shifts. I've seen it happen. Once. A station agent named Malik used to work the same night shifts I did. He was younger, new to the job, didn't take the stories seriously. One night, he saw the passenger near the end of platform 6 and froze. Didn't say a word. He just kept moving. Quick steps. Eyes forward. I watched him from the booth as he sped up, turned the corner, and disappeared toward the staff hallway. He never looked back. An hour later, we found blood on the tiles near the stairwell exit. No body, just the blood. Thick, fresh, soaking into the grout. The cameras glitched out for exactly 27 minutes. When the feed returned, there was nothing there. Malik didn't show up for his next shift. We never saw him again. I don't know if the passenger means to hurt anyone. Maybe he doesn't even realize he's doing it. But whatever space he's stuck in, whatever reality he's still clinging to, it doesn't tolerate being ignored. So if you ever see a man in an old coat, holding a ticket with trembling fingers, walking alone across the empty platform in the dead of night, say something. Let him think he's just another traveler trying to get home. Because if he realizes he isn't, you might be the next one to disappear. Most people never notice any of this. They're always moving too fast, heads down, earbuds in, scrolling through their phones or sipping that burnt coffee from the kiosk by the stairs. The train pulls in, they step on, and they disappear into the next part of their day without ever looking up. And honestly, that's good. That's safe. Because the ones who see too much, the ones who pause, who stay, who linger just a little longer than they should, those are the ones who start to notice the cracks. The subtle things. The quiet parts of the station that don't follow the rules of time or reason or gravity. The musician who never plays, but always gives and always takes. The platform that doesn't exist until you're already standing on it. The clown who smiles too wide and shifts just slightly when no one's looking. The man with no head who still thinks he belongs here. You've heard the stories now, you've been listening, and that makes you different. So if you ever pass through this station, if your travels bring you to this place tucked between forgotten cities and old rail lines, you need to remember the rules. They're not posted on any wall. There's no announcement chime or emergency pamphlet. But they're real. Follow them, and you'll be okay. Maybe. Greet the headless passenger. Don't avoid him. Don't pretend he isn't there. Let him believe he still belongs. Respect the musician's case. If you take something, leave something that matters. Always. No exceptions. Avoid the clown after dark. Don't speak to him. Don't photograph him. Don't let him notice you. Stay on the train if it stops at platform 13. Don't get off. Don't ask questions. Don't look for signs. Just wait. I know it sounds like nonsense. I know how easy it is to laugh it off, to think it's just a train station. How weird can it really be? Something old lives in the cracks of the concrete. Something with patience and rules. And a memory that never fades, no matter how many new coats of paint go up or how many new faces pass through. I've stayed. That's what changed me. I don't pretend to understand all of it. I just do my job. I sell the tickets. I watch the doors. I keep an eye on the things most people don't notice. And I remember, if your train's coming, gather your bags. Step carefully. Don't rush. And if you ever come back this way, I'll still be here, behind the glass, pouring stale coffee and counting who's paying attention. Maybe next time, I'll tell you a few more stories. There are plenty. But for now, safe travels.